Hello and welcome to Wrestleopinionated. This is our WrestleMania 37 special. We are your hosts. I am Morg, and this is...
Out of the loop, Matt Strange. Oh, you ready, Morg? Are you ready for this?
Yeah. This is going to be an interesting one. Just quickly, there's just the two of us reviewing this today, so it's back to the OG Wrestleopinionated team.
Mate, it's been a full year. We've got the annual cycle back to the two of us. I can't blame you all for not being able to fit in another 6 hours of wrestling on top of what we normally do. So,
Yeah.
especially if you want to catch up with the stories for this WrestleMania, which I hadn't before watching it. So, expect opinions based on a fresh wrestling fan, shall we say. Although I am a New Japan, indie shitter, AEW follower, don't watch WWE, just don't have time for it. Haven't kept up to date with it in about 15 years. All of my information comes from memes, 4chan, and last year's WrestleMania that I did watch and incredibly criticized a 72-hour match between Randy and Edge. Still going today.
Do you know that somebody actually suggested that Randy and Edge's story should have continued to this year?
Oh, fuck, man. God.
I believe that was
no.
one of... I can't remember who it was, but I believe it was one of our friends. Right. This might be the first time you've listened to our podcast, and as such you would need to know we have a tier list, which is how we give our scores for the matches. Mr. Strange will now explain the tier list, and hopefully the recording software will pick it up this time.
Definitely the first time I'm doing this. Right, you all know a tier list, Japanese computer games, things people organise things by on YouTube. We're doing it on this podcast. A tier list is as scientifically accurate as any star system some sheets might put out. We work up through letters from worst to best. D rank, that's as low as we go unless we're being facetious. Surely we won't need a D rank match at WrestleMania. It's a bad match. We haven't enjoyed what's going on in the ring. It didn't make sense. There's no way we'll need that in this podcast. From there, we rock up to a C. This is what I expect to be an average match in a wrestling show. A good match. That doesn't mean it's bad. I want to know a bit of the story, why they're in the ring. I want to see some reasonable wrestling, feel a bit like a fight. No, not too many botches. I've enjoyed it. Good time. From there, we rock up to quite a common rank, what we know as match plus one, a B rank match. I want to care about the story. Going in and going out. I want to see some character on those wrestlers' faces. And I want a good, cool match. Doesn't have to blow my mind, but it's got to be good, cool. Everything's plus one. Then we get to an A. A is an awesome match. It has everything we talk about in this. You know, you've got great story, great characters. It's cool in the ring. You'll talk about it for the week. Happy stuff. You might not remember it forever, but good stuff. And then at the top of the tier list is S. Superior. Sugoi. This is a fucking paradigm-breaking, story-shifting masterpiece. I want to see cool things in the ring I haven't seen. I want everything to be crisp. I don't want to get caught up on any botches. I want to talk about this sort of match to my non-wrestling mates. Send them gifts. Surely we'll need the S rank at WrestleMania. Surely.
Well, last year we did award 2 S rank matches.
We did. We had some cinematic masterpieces. A place where you should ideally keep Bray Wyatt using all of his arts degree, I assume he has. Surely at the conclusion of this Randy fireballing Alexa Bliss Bray storyline that I have seen in numerous comedy gifs, surely this cinematic masterpiece will be unleashed from Bray and I will give it another S rank.
Let's see. We'll just kick straight off with the review, I think. WrestleMania opened after the pre-show and unfortunately had to hit a hiatus due to storm conditions. Not a lot they could do about this. We opened with a bunch of promos.
Good to see Vince?
Yes.
He wasn't as insane enough as I'd like. There was no fucking, he's gonna puke or any typical Vinceism. But it's good to see Vince still going at 75 years old.
Yeah, I think this was very noticeable as to which wrestlers came up from the indies and can just do a promo off the back of the cuff, and those that are used to dubsies got to script everything.
Right, before we get to the promos, I've got to rip on the national anthem performance.
I've got to say, it's not their national anthem. They never use the national anthem, and I don't know why.
Right. Either way, it was a hate crime to guitar players, and I never want to hear that singer again. But onto the promos. I kind of skipped a few. I've got a few notes on things that I picked up on. So Shane McMahon, a 51-year-old man, is bullying 6'7", 175 kilo, 37-year-old Braun Strowman. And Braun has informed us in these promos that he's going to kill Shane McMahon. So as much as I don't approve of bullying, and it is something we should, look to remove from society, kill your bullies, friends. Somebody bullies you, fucking kill them. Drew wasn't bad. It wasn't the pop start we wanted. It's not the pop start they wanted, realistically, but what can you do? Fair play. It took some time.
Thank the Lord
and then
for
Hulk
Kevin
Hogan
Owens.
Was here.
Yes. So then the next thing that happened was Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil, the hosts of WrestleMania, came out. Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
A bit like a high school drama performance. When I was back in high school, we had this group that came out of young adults who were like, yeah, kids, don't do drugs. That sort of thing you tell teenagers. And they're always a bit of a shade off because they've just got their art degrees or they're working on them. Big Titus man shouted. Hulk Hogan hasn't changed since 1962 or whatever. Not the most dramatic hosts, but, people love Hulk Hogan because of legacy and not who he is.
Yeah. Yes. So let's move on. So after 39 minutes of rain stopped play, we opened up with Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley with MVP for the WWE Championship. Bobby Lashley wins with the Hurt Lock. Thoughts and scores on this match?
I actually really like this match. You're going to get a lot of criticisms from me in this show about how there's virtually no grappling in any of these matches. I've had to make notes of when people actually do a collar and elbow, which is like the second thing I was taught when training. And the thing is, I'm not like a big NWA, big men, not many slams and stuff guy, but I do enjoy a brawl. And both these dudes walked out. They've got big dimes looks. Drew's ace. Lashley's always looked ace. Still a little bit disappointed Vince didn't bust out Trump to bring Bobby Lashley out. That would have drawn some viewers. He did bring him into the WWE. So we get a strong collar and elbow start, which brings me joy. We get a lot of solid exchanges. It's all right for most of it. Very brawly, which I like. We get some actual limb work on Drew's arm so Lashley can pull off his finisher later. It actually ties in. I could probably use a few more slams in the midsection, but I liked it. And we got a lot of slams for Drew's comeback. This is where I started noticing, however, the fucking camera cuts in WWE. Drew was in the corner, and there was a bunch of punches going off, and the camera was flashing back and forth, and I almost had a seizure. Lost its pace a bit near the end, but it was still good. All of the actual wrestling is solid. These guys know what they're doing in the ring, and they look badass. I'm not sure they saved Drew too much on that rope jump where he went over and hit MVP. Is it?
God, yeah, that was brutal. It was quite funny though, because earlier on in the match, Bobby Lashley went outside the ring, and I was just waiting for Drew to do a tope suicida, and I was like, "Oh, hang on, it's not AEW."
And then he does it. Did you see him twang his dick as he went over? Caught on the rope.
It certainly looked like that.
I quite like the submission spot. They're trying to break it, going back into it. If I have one big criticism, it's I'm down with the heel getting a distract to take down the face for the win. I'm normally used to the heel distract being more than an MVP at the side of the ring just going, hey! Like, people jump up on the sides. I'm like, that crowd's been cheering the whole match, Drew, and you haven't given a shit. It was an inferior distraction.
Yeah.
Whilst...
I think MVP was out of position and was supposed to hook Drew's leg.
That would have made a lot more sense.
And it might have been the rain or something else. Yeah, I think MVP might have been slightly out of position, and it was supposed to be a leg hook or something. And MVP
that would have made a lot more sense.
Having to think on his feet came up with something to distract Drew. I'm guessing.
Hey, what's that over there? Oh my god!
He's behind you. What score did you give this match?
Right, okay, so this was no Cobb versus Shingo, which you've heard me go on for a fucking while. A big brawly battle. But it was good, brawly, clean. This was, for me, is a good opening match to a pay-per-view. It felt like a fight. Don't know the story, but I could tell there was story there. I gave it like a good high B. I enjoyed this match. I thought it was actually a nice slammy brawl that felt like a fight, which is going to go down in value as we go through this pay-per-view. What do you think then?
It's B's. This was a good big man match. Lots of big power moves. Probably the best Bobby Lashley match I've seen, but I haven't seen him in recent years. And I know people have been raving about the Hurt Business, the faction he was in, about how good they were. And I've heard people commenting. Going to have to sort of name check the What Culture guys. When I watched their predictions video, they were all talking about. Some of them actually wanted to see that they expected Drew to win and get the big win in front of a crowd that he didn't get last year. But a lot of them wanted Bobby Lashley to hold the belt for a bit longer because they said this is the best run he's had in WZ. So yeah,
he has always sort of been overlooked and slid about, hasn't he?
Yeah, I gave it a B as well.
Really good opener.
Yeah, I think
like a wrestling match.
Yes, it did. So following on from that, very quickly, we had the NWO and Bayley doing a backstage section. It was getting Bayley's over. Yeah.
Yeah, Nash looked happy. Nash has got a great little happy, smug Nash face to him, so I can't hate him. It's good to see him about.
So then we had the women's tag team turmoil match.
Oh God!
Opened with Lana and Naomi versus Billie Kay and Carmella. Then Lara and Naomi are eliminated. It's the Riot Squad. Billie Kay and Carmella are eliminated. Then it's Mandy Rose and Daniel Brooke. Brooke and Rose are then eliminated, and then it's Natalya and Tamina pins Ruby with the Superfly Splash. What did you think of this match, and what score did you give it?
Right, as Stardom Joshi elitist, let's go for this. I'm going to open up with my first observation, which was I fucking hate Lana and Naomi's music. It's awful. It's everything I hate. But then we get into the match, and it starts well-paced enough if just rotating spots. But I'm being thrown by two things, and that's Lana's weird fucking noises she makes in the ring, and the camera cuts. The camera cutting and shaky cam and stuff in this match was fucking awful. And coupled with all the brightly coloured costumes, it just got a bit too clusterfucky for me and a bit too much of an assault on my senses, especially when Pink Team came in and they look the same and the camera's going everywhere and they're fighting neon costumes. I would have loved to have seen a grapple or some strikes in this match. Fortunately, blessed Ruby Riott remembers punches on one of the pink ones in that section of it. This match made me miss Stardom. We got a wrong ref call at one point. The only people who actually sort of came across as wrestlers to me in an actual battle way was when Tamina, it is Tamina, not Tamina, and Natalya came in. They actually looked like fighters to me. And I was like, oh, that's quite good. And then it was over. I can't be too harsh on it. I don't know the characters. I don't know the story. And most of the stuff in the ring was clean. I'd give it a D, but I'm guessing it was a C for other people. It was an inconsistent assault on my senses with no actual match, and I didn't enjoy it.
So the best thing I can say about this was that out of the four or five teams, out of the teams, I liked the fact that all the teams came out looking like tag teams because, and you don't know this, but the women's tag team division is not. It is let's throw some people together.
No.
I liked the fact that Lana had the Naomi glow gear, that Brooke and Rose came out in the matching pink outfits, that Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan came out as Joker and Harley Quinn, which was awesome. And I can't believe I didn't notice that Ruby was the Joker for ages until the Raptor pointed out to me. That is actually about the best thing I can say about this match. I gave it a low C because I didn't feel it deserved a D. Because there was some wrestling.
No, we've both only used the excuse of, I don't think it deserved a D because it's a bad match. I think we're just going to have to accept. And this isn't a shit on the talent. You know, those women work their asses off, they're training, they can take all these moves and stuff. If you have a badly orchestrated, badly cut match, all the skill in the world can't save you. I'm a chef of 20 years and I still fuck up a meal every now and then, you know.
Yeah, I say I don't think it was a D, but it was a low C.
All right, okay, I'll give it a C- on the old letter maths.
Yeah. So following on from that, we had Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. Cesaro wins with the neutralizer, or as I had to tell Mr. Strange, Claudio Castagneri versus Tyler Black.
I've got those written down as the names on my notes.
So this is your first Ring of Honor throwback match. What did you think? And scores?
I really liked it. This is exactly that sort of indie soul sort of thing I enjoy. And I really enjoyed Seth Rollins' intro video made by friends of Seth Rollins. That got a hearty lol from me. I know the moves are stupid, but the fact that Cesaro just spins people round just makes me laugh, and I love it.
That move is so over.
It's... In wrestling computer games for all of my life, I've taken the aeroplane spin and thingy spin moves because they make me laugh. And seeing it in reality, seeing my wrestling character in reality brings me great joy. Anyway, we get a solid fast start, a bunch of really cool spots in this. There was one commentary thing where the commentary, I don't know the name of the commentary guys, like, it's a brutal buckle bomb from Seth Rollins. I'm like, he's done rougher, hasn't he?
What, the buckle bomb or the career ender, as we've started calling it?
Stairs in Sting.
Stairs in Finn Balor.
Oh, he pulled off a superplex roll into a Falcon Arrow in the match, and that was fucking wicked. We got strikes. They actually stopped a chopper. Well, not chopper, but puncher in this case. And they've got chemistry in the ring, which really helped. There was a bunch of good technical counters. I'm not sure why doing a corkscrew on a frog splash gives it double damage, but I'll take it. You know, if you can learn to spin through the air like that.
That was new. I was about to shout out that move because I think that was my move of the night for night one. And it's certainly the one move that sticks out in my head from the whole weekend.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Seth at one point shouted, now I've cut off the first part because it was I survived the neutralizer or whatever, but all I've got written down is I survived the swing. I am a god. Seth Rollins 2021. No man can kill me by spinning me round. The point where he went for the curb stomp and he was caught in the air with the uppercut was fucking great. The aeroplane spin, I love it. I just can't not love a man just spinning another man around. This was easily a match plus one. I saw their characters in the ring. I got a story intro. Wrestling was inventive, technical, and had strikes and grappling and technical stuff. It was good enough that I didn't notice the cuts and the shaky cam too much. I gave this a high B. I really enjoyed this. This had wonderful indie soul and a lot of good wrestling and counter wrestling.
Looks like we're on the same page a lot this WrestleMania.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, this was what I expected to be match of the night on paper and possibly match of the weekend. I think had it been longer and later on in the card and maybe they'd been given like 25 minutes, this could have been an absolute show stealer. And had they not been fighting against the rain.
I think this is the match I enjoyed most in the night. I don't necessarily think it's the best match of the night, but in my soul, it's the one I just had a great time through.
Yeah, this was a really good match. And looks like it's a story ending. Let's hope Dubsy do something with Cesaro now. Crowd seem to be behind him. Moving on, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, quick backstage interview. I'm guessing to fill time while they gave they've got Matt a clean.
Solid 8 is power. I didn't really rate it. Is new Roode related to classic Roode?
No.
He looks a bit like.
He's Bobby Roode from TNA.
Oh!
Used to be half of Beer Money.
Yeah, no, oh fucking hell, what a change. It's good to see him with Ziggler. Yeah, they just had a good laugh. Not really worth a note as it was more of a speed bump, but I got that big 80s power. They're one bump of cocaine away from, being fully there.
So next up, is The New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos. Omos gets the win with a double throat slam. This was for the Raw Tag Team Championships. What did you think of this match, and what score did you give it?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a bit of a shame nobody taught Omos how to lean for a tag. I've been joking.
We worked this out. The problem is, if Omos had leant across the ring for a tag, he could actually have tagged AJ from the opposite corner. That man is not small.
There was one point where AJ was reaching for a tag with him, and he's just stood there with his arm out at like a 90 degrees, and AJ's reaching him up like, Omos, put your arm down. Omos had to hold onto the rope to stop himself growing too much. Jesus, he is massive. Obviously, we know I love Blessed AJ, and I love The New Day. As much as I don't watch WWE, I knew their characters enough, and their characters are brilliant in the ring. You can tell who they are. You can see what they're about, and that's great. Xavier explaining the cut in the ring in half whilst he was actually fighting AJ was wonderful. When he was like, we're cutting the ring in half. This is why you're not a tag team wrestler. Just good story stuff. And we got a nice high-speed, grappling, technical set of bout between Kofi and AJ. Then AJ ate shit for the entire match, didn't he? And it just went on and on and on. And as much as I love characters, go on.
This was weird. We were waiting for the heels to do the hot tag. This was bizarre.
I mean, I didn't get the real feeling that the New Day were faces. To be completely honest, they were like sort of shit talking.
Oh no, they are. They're good faces. They are top end tweener faces. So they are very much the good guys, but they will shit talk you. They are the New Day. They are mates with the Bullet. You know, they're mates with the Elite.
But yeah, no, we're waiting for this hot tag, and it went on and on and on. And although when the tag came in, Omos reads the fucking giant. Woods and Xavier gave him some of the best fucking... No, Xavier Woods and...
Kofi Kingston.
Kofi, sorry, I don't watch it, people. I don't know the names instinctively. They sold him like a fucking monster. I don't know if he can wrestle. He did a few slams, a couple of backbreakers. He's not really breaking any technical paradigms. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, you know, you get better at wrestling the longer you go. And
don't worry. When he stepped into the ring, Vince had an orgasm, you know.
Yeah, he did. But all of the work against him was on the New Day, and AJ worked his ass off, but ate shit. Don't know. It's like plausibly a C for getting a guy over. The story was there. The wrestling was fine. I did get bored of watching AJ fight. I kept laughing at Omos not being able to reach. I don't think it crosses any higher than it was all right. It was, you know, entertaining enough. AJ on his shoulders was pretty funny at the end. Yeah, what do you think?
It was a C. It was a C match. It was a good. It wasn't necessarily a technical spectacular. It told the story it needed to. The New Day were great. The facial expressions. I love throwing themselves and bouncing off Omos. Omos was about as good as we wanted. AJ ate a lot of shit because currently he's that kind of. He's got a big guy in his corner. Heel. So AJ is not currently being the technical genius heel. He's being the
I've got somebody stronger with me.
I've got the backup. So he's being a bit. I'm going to say a cowardly heel because he's still AJ, but you know what I mean. I think from the research I've done, it's just that's what AJ's character. So yes, he had to eat all that shit in the match.
If that's Omos's first match, he looked like a beast. That's what you want. You want to get him over, and it 100% worked. I'd just like to see him maybe move a bit more, but I won't because I don't watch WWE.
Yeah. So next up, Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon, steel cage match. Braun wins with the running power slam. Thoughts and scores?
Right, okay. So a 51-year-old man is bullying a 37-year-old 6'6", 175-kilo Braun. Once again, bullying's not cool, but come on. Shane O'Mac looks like my Uncle Steve. And when I said this to my partner, she responded with, he looks like everyone's Uncle Steve. He looks like my Uncle Steve, and I don't have one. Not to say he's in bad shape for a 51-year-old. You know, he put some heart into this match, but a very ludicrous premise I found very hard to find inspiring and meant to. Braun comes out, and admittedly, I was like, oh, here comes the face with the advantage, the obvious advantage. But then Macho Man 2 and another guy came out and hit him with chairs, even though I thought Macho Man 2 was a face. A little bit of dubsy-dub, but it did give Braun some face power that he got a bit of a beatdown. We did get some strikes, which is nice, even though Shane did the same little flurry to the right-hand side of Braun and kick him to the leg 3 times. And we got some limb work, which I always give a little +1 to. It just wasn't that good, if you ask me. Shane kept trying to climb out, even though they'd left the door open. And then he went to the door, and then he forgot about it again later. We had some random buckets of toolboxes at the top of the cage. That was interesting. Pulling Shane through the side of the cage, though, was great. I've never seen that spot. That was a cool spot. I'm skimming over a lot of this match because I just don't think it was that great. Shane obviously takes a massive cage bump because it's Shane, and if he doesn't take a massive bump, is he even Shane McMahon? Braun shouts, "Who's stupid now?" I mean, technically still you. If you like, was it meant to be inspiring? If anyone's ever called you stupid, it's okay because Braun Strowman has beat up Shane McMahon. Cool moments aside, it wasn't great. It was an oddly paced match with, in my opinion, quite frankly, a stupid plot. I gave it a C because people seem to care about the plot, and they took some horrific bumps, and we had selling and stuff, but wasn't for me.
So yeah, I gave it got a high C, but it only got that +1 because of the ripping the cage open to get Shane back in, because that was cool and I hadn't seen it before. So that gave it what I would say, that gave it a C/B, but it's very much a C/B and not the other way around. It is a C on our scale. Yeah, it was.
I don't think my time was wasted, but.
Yeah, I mean, this was the cigarette break match for friends of ours who were watching this with us.
Yes,
it was all right.
How can you take Shane bullying Braun seriously?
To be fair, Shane is the rich kid, but that's the problem. He wasn't being the rich kid bully. He's been just calling Braun stupid, and yeah.
You can't defeat being called stupid by punching people. I'm sorry. I was bullied, and I'm not the world's best educated man, but I didn't just punch people. That's not going to help the situation. Yeah, I think we should move on. Just give it a casual C.
Yeah, it was a C. Following on from that, it was Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. Bad Bunny wins with a modified Doomsday device, which is how I described it. It was actually a top rope splash, but he had him on his shoulder, so it was a bit like a Doomsday device. Before I get into this match and we give our review, is this the best celebrity match we've seen?
I'm going to go with no, and I'll bring up what. This isn't a shit on Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny did very well, and although most of his... In fact, I'm just going to go straight in. Let's fucking do this. What the fuck was that truck entrance? Go crazy, I
liked that. I thought that looked cool as fuck. I really did. I'm sorry. Him Batman posing on top of the truck when it was going down the highway. I just thought it looked really cool. It looked really superhero. So, yeah, they got away with that with me.
I'd have put him on top of the carriage at least. But anyway, he gets in the ring. Some good douching from Miz. I never want to hear anybody who criticizes AEW again for saying that they unrealistically sell small, skinny dudes, because Bad Bunny did not look like a wrestler in traditional way. And he mostly relied on punches, and some of those punches looked a bit like he was throwing potatoes to me. He does, however, sell really well. And
just a quick cut across there. Yeah, I am imagining the reason they look potatoish, he was probably told by the guys, just hit us. Because in the promo before, the punch he threw at Miz looks amazing. And they probably went, look, the easiest way, don't try and throw fake punches, you'll look shit. Just hit us.
I mean, that's good unless he wants to stay in the business. Anyway, he sells good. Most of the moves he takes is obviously all on the recipient, the arm drags, the hurricanrana tiara-y things. You know, that's all by the taker. But that's not to shit on him. He did a great roll-up. He had a bunch of other different things. The mirrored suplexes or falcon arrows, I couldn't tell what they were in the moment, were good. I quite like that. Priest seems good. Really quite like him. He's a big fella. The match was all right. Bunny did pretty well, especially for celebrity. Obviously, he gets a -1 for winning with a Canadian Destroyer, a move I loathe. But this match was most of the things I hate in wrestling. It was a celebrity throwing punches and being more powerful than other people in sort of running in. We've got a Canadian Destroyer I don't like. I'm giving it a C for Bunny's effort. Like, it was good. I didn't hate it. I just didn't do anything that really inspired me or took me anywhere, if I'm honest with you.
I had to modify my score for this match due to... So when I initially watched it, I gave it a B because of how well... So, quick bit of backstory for you. Bad Bunny has been a lifelong wrestling fan. He's done a couple of songs. He's had Ric Flair in one of his videos. He's done a song about Booker T. He's a big wrestling fan. Apparently, he has been at the Performance Center every day practicing and learning since they decided he was going to do this match. He also has got a lot of props backstage with the boys for being really respectful of the business, to the point where you could imagine that had he decided, I don't want to be a singer anymore, I want to be a wrestler and I want to do this, that he'd have had a lot of the boys going, yeah, fine, you have shown all the respect that we expect towards the business. So initially I gave this a B, but talking about it with the Raptor last night, and she pointed out that the thing that we were most impressed with in this match was how good he was and how good he sold and how he did different moves. He didn't just do a couple of punches or other stuff. He did a Hurricane Rana, he did a drop toe hold, and he was in position for them. I think you're right. I think the match itself is a C. I do think it's one of the best.
You've made me level it up a bit, so I'm now in like a more of a higher C than before. But I'm
yes,
leaving C.
Yeah. No. And yes, I think it is. I think it's a high C. I do think it's one of the better celebrity ones. Again, just because of the effort he put in.
Yeah, no, fair cop. We might have to have a future review of celebrity matches, I think.
We did do one a while ago in one of our discussions, celebrities in, and who we thought was the best. And I certainly think his name would need to go into the hat along with my boy Stephen Amell for very similar reasons.
Nerds. Yeah, I'm with you.
Hey, if WC came up to us and went, "Hey guys, do you want to be on our show?"
I've been semi-famous once. I'm never doing it again. I want to live in obscurity in a little mountain hole.
So, ending off night one, we have quite an important match as a main event. Yes, it's the main event of night one. It was a women's match. It was for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Just call it like it was. 2 black women in the main event of WrestleMania. Amazing. Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. Bianca wins with the KOD. Thoughts and scores for this match?
I think this might be the actual best wrestling match of this night, technically and story-wise. We get a video package explaining the face and heel sides. I'm not big on either of their promo styles, but I got what was going on. You know what I mean? Bianca Belair comes out dressed like a Running Man Hunter, and Sasha Banks comes out dressed as Rohan Kashibe from JoJo. And do you know what they fucking start with? Do you know what the first thing they do in this match is? A collar and elbow tie-up. They actually go into a grapple, and we get some shoves and some exchange punches with pacing. And I can see their characters on their faces. I'm getting it. We get counters, and it's good. Bianca Belair didn't really know much about her on the way in other than long hair woman. Can fucking see her shoulders and arms. She is strong and she looks great. That military press walk to the ring was dope. Even if you could see Sasha helping, if you watched it, was great. I love just grab. I was like, why would you have hair that long? People are just going to grab it and fuck you up in the fight. And you know what Sasha did? She grabbed that hair and she fucking kicked her in the face. It's what I'd do. Belair's got some ace slams. I think she pulled off a Falcon Arrow and stuff, which is always just awesome. But we got conflict just through the vertical hold where she was doing the bounce off the ropes and Sasha's trying to get out and she's near her and she goes down and she deadlifts her back up. That's good. That's good pacing. Banks' double springboard DDT thing can stay. I like that. The hair arm lock thing kind of looked a bit silly, but I'll take it. Banks losing her shit and going crazy. I don't know if that's a permanent persona, but I got it and it's good. Oh no, we get into the bit which actually made me laugh though. We did have a couple of things. Banks didn't finish any of her Meteoras, which I believe is a finisher, I assume.
No, it's one of her signatures. Her finishers are the bank statement and oh god, I can't remember what the other one is. There's a finisher and there's like a backstabber she does, and then there's her submission finisher, which is the bank statement. A Meteora is one of her signature moves.
Well, the commentary mentioned it twice, and she didn't do it either of the times they mentioned it. One turned into a splash, and one was like a jump on the turnbuckle and rolled, and that's a bit weird. If you've got the opportunity to hit your opponent in the face with both knees, you do that. And
it's because it's one of the only moves that Michael Cole knows the name of.
I did notice a few move name problems. That fucking hair whip sound effect, though.
That wasn't a sound effect.
Yes, it was. No one's hair goes.
If you looked at Sasha's side afterwards.
No way was that whip sound real. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, check, but I'm pretty sure it actually was. Because you look at Sasha's side afterwards, the welt on her side from that hair whip is ridiculous.
I'm going to look it up because the actual whip thing needs the end to snap back to make the sound. I'm going to look this up because I don't think it was.
Okay, and fair enough. I didn't actually hear it. I've just heard it mentioned, so... I just saw the welt on the side of Sasha.
Yeah, fair. And obviously, commentary fucked up the pin at the end by saying Sasha kicked out when she hadn't. Either way, story in, story out by the look of it. Looks like this is the rise of the underdog against the boss, which is obviously a gimmick. The wrestling was good. The pacing was good. Plausibly, the ending was a little bit wicked and weird and fucked up by commentary. I gave this like a high B/borderline A. I thought this was a really solid wrestling match that a lot of the show was missing, to be honest with you. What did you think?
Yeah, with you. Do we go A or do we go B?
I'm going to go with A.
I think you're right. I think it gets the extra because of how important this match was. This is also it wasn't a real passing of the torch because Sasha is not suddenly retiring. She is not a legend in the business. She has been the boss.
She's off to be a Mandalorian.
Yeah, she's been the boss and she has passed the torch to the EST of WWE. Yeah, this was a good match. It was solid. You've already mentioned most of it, the hair whip, etc., the military press. I was unsure about Bianca back in the NXT days. She was part of like the second or third generation of the NXT girls, and I think she's one of the more recent ones.
She's in great shape.
She is really good. She's your kind of babyface as well because she's a bit of a bitch.
That's what I like.
She's a bit of an arrogant face. Yeah, she's your kind. And so is Sasha. I don't think Sasha's officially turned heel. I think she's just been playing heel a bit. I think Bayley is the main heel on SmackDown as far as I can tell. But Sasha certainly played heel for this match to give Bianca that big moment.
And she got it. She looked great. Her face at the start of the match when she was almost crying, like, you know they've got heart and soul in it when that's going down. It's kind of moving. I like it.
I'm still not convinced that Bianca should have been the Royal Rumble winner. I think she could have challenged Sasha. We can get onto this later. I think that the two ways that they did the two challenges, I don't think they mattered, but I don't think Bianca should have been the Royal Rumble winner as much as the emotion that she sold on her face when it happened. So, night one, what is our score for night one?
We got a bank of C's, a couple of B's, and an A. I think it's a high C, low B. It was good. It was good, but it's nothing I'm not really seeing on weekly shows or other lesser promotions in quotation marks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't get a feeling of big WrestleMania energy, which is what I think I'm meant to be inspired for as a man who doesn't really watch it. So I don't think I've been overly cynical. I think I've been quite positive.
So yeah, when we looked at the card before we watched it, we were all like, well, tonight's card's not very strong, or didn't feel very strong. We were very much looking, and then we all watched it. We really enjoyed a lot of the matches and enjoyed watching them and the spectacle of watching WrestleMania, that we were all quite fired up for watching night two and really looking forward to it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, no more.
Because night two had the big ticket matches.
Like, as much as I say that's a high C / low B, that is in no way negative. This is what Dave Meltzer would give 4 to 5 meme stars. You know, I have enjoyed the overall experience, and I've got a lot of highlights I really liked. Yeah, what about night two, Morg? What about night two?
So, night two opens with Titus and Hogan dressed up as pirates, and
we're not covering the. No, we're not going straight into that, Morg. I've got to once again comment. There was an absolutely awful cover of Star Spangled Banner again, and a mighty two jets went over the top. I'm not letting this pass. We can shit talk Pirate Hulk in a minute. What? Just don't do an artsy reinterpretation. Just get some you could sing it, or a little band like when Generico had his people sing Judas. Just one person sadly singing it. It was bad. Sorry. Okay, now we can move on to the next bit of shit talking. Come on, let's go.
So Titus and Hogan come out dressed as pirates. Titus at one point does pull a sword on Hogan. We were worried.
It's about time. Karma is here.
This was pretty terrible again.
Yeah, a little bit more high school drama stuff. Those two boys have no chemistry, but seeing Pirate Hulk did make me laugh. Going for that long John Silver look.
I do want to quickly say I have a feeling that next year's host of WrestleMania, so I'm going to make some quick predictions now.
All right, go on.
Next year's host of WrestleMania will be Stone Cold Steve Austin. They are in Texas.
Oh.
And next year's big name going into the Hall of Fame, and the reason he didn't go in this year, because next year they're in Texas, will be Taker. It will be Taker's Hall of Fame next year.
Is he not in the Hall of Fame?
No, he's only just retired, and they're not going to put him in because they got his retirement, and then they can pull in for his Hall of Fame, and I think that'll be another big Hall of Fame again.
Yeah, fair.
Like Austin's, and we haven't had a really big one for a while. I mean, last year they put the NWO in, and as much as I love Kane, this year it was Kane. You know, they're running.
Yeah.
At some point, they're going to have to put The Rock in, and I think that's going to be the last big one they're going to get until John Cena goes in.
Boo, 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 boo. Big Match John, Lance Catchmark.
Big Match John. So, let's get to it. The opening match is Randy Orton versus The Fiend with Alexa Bliss. Orton wins with the RKO. What did you think of the match, and what score did you give it after last year we gave The Fiend an S-rank match?
Right, okay, so we did in fact get a good catch-up at this, and it's solid. And I quite like Randy, and I like Bray. It's Shitlord versus Drama Kid, basically. That's what I was set up for. I'm really starting to notice at this point the giant visual digital effects that I hate. There was a giant Alexa Bliss oddball face. That was a bit weird. So it's Randy Orton versus Burnt Face Man and a Lunatic. I hate Bray's neck snap move. Don't do a neck snap unless you're literally snapping their neck. Once again, no grappling, but the wrestling was fine. And I was ready for this to build up. I like Randy's elevated classic DTTs, and the pacing was going really well. And then Alexa Bliss appeared as Furiosa Jesus Quinn from The Passion of Mad Max. And Randy won. And that was it. I just wrote down, what the fuck was that?
So
I don't know if I should round it up for story and evolution, as I will speculate that now that Bray has brought Lexi into his world, she is now ascending to do the plot line they wanted 4 years ago, where she's Sister Abigail.
I think she has been possessed by Sister Abigail.
Yeah, and she's going to ascend above him and become the problem for that. But in all honesty, as a first time, second time watching WrestleMania in ages, watching a classic wrestler and the new hotness, going off in a story match, especially having seen the last year's matches and stuff Bray has done. This was a waste of my time that I laughed at, and I gave it a D.
Yeah, I see. I wasn't sure. This has got my C or D. I was pissed about the ending because Randy set the Fiend on fire, and the Fiend came back, and we've been building up to this. The crowd fucking hated this.
Oh God, the bird burned back off him into regular clown.
I liked that.
It looked bad.
It was supernatural shenanigans, and I like supernatural shenanigans. I like this. Bray has been playing this horror character. This should have been like last year's John Cena win, where he gets back at Randy because Randy burnt down the house originally. When Alexa turned into this, I'm assuming it's supposed to be she's turned into Sister Abigail. I've really liked. So this is one of the few stories I've followed on Dubsy, and I've been following. I've really liked Alexa Bliss as the crazy sort of basically Harley Quinn type character, and she does it so well. She's so adorably creepy because she is, in my opinion, and this is, if it sounds sexist, it's not. She is, and my girlfriend agrees with me. She is the female wrestler who I personally think is the prettiest facially, just ridiculously pretty, and she is so good as that creepy, cute Harley Quinn type character. And she turned into Sister Abigail. Surely that should have empowered the Fiend even more. And whether she's now the one in control after the Fiend corrupted her to be. I don't know where the story's. Yeah, I don't know where the story's going. Are they planning to turn Randy face so he can go and feud with Bobby Lashley?
I'm assuming, as a non-follower, let's go with what I saw. It looked to me like Bray was very much like a creepy divine being. It ties, like, as much as I am I could rant about why I hate Harley Quinn for days, but I do appreciate Silent Hill. So I appreciate a divine female creepy figure, shall we say. It looked to me very much like a reverence thing, and I reckon you'll get with this, you can turn Bray anyway. You can face turn, you can heel turn him. Is he going to be overcome by something that is beyond him, or will he embrace it? I don't know where you can take the Randy story. I can see where Bray's going to go. But Randy has burnt down multiple houses in the past, from what I'm aware of. Set fire to the man. I don't know why Bray set on him for the first place. As I said, I'm not in the loop. Yeah, Bray, this could have been a good story moment, but I would have liked a match on top of it.
This should have been a Firefly Funhouse match. They should have just done what they did last year. I know they had a crowd this year, but they should have done a Firefly Funhouse match. And the main reason I wanted it is because I wanted a moment where Randy goes into a room, opens the door, and John Cena goes running out with a big beard and a scared look on his face, because I thought that would have been fucking awesome.
Jumanji.
And yes, and John Cena finally escapes the Funhouse because of his arch nemesis Randy Orton. You could have changed the story up if you want to keep Randy there. You could have put Randy could have escaped at the end of his Firefly Funhouse, a changed man, especially if you wanted him to go and face Bobby.
You can have this when Randy's still winning. We could have had a real match and Randy could have won, and then Bray, as he's struggling with the power of the Fiend or whatever bollocks, then gets his divine messiah figure, Alexa Abigail or whatever, to evolve to this next tier of vengeance / balance. He doesn't need the win as long as he evolves from it, but the evolving cost him the win, as opposed to wrong way a Pokemon works, shall we say.
Yeah. And all the way through, up until the point of Randy getting the win out of nowhere with the RKO, and I appreciate that the RKO comes out of nowhere. We were all going, well, they're really turning Bray into the new Undertaker. Brilliant. This is what they've been planning to do with Bray. Oh, they're doing a really good job of turning him into the new Undertaker. Okay, yep, though this is great. What the fuck? Randy just did what? And
nowhere.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. It's a D.
Heel distracted himself.
It's a D.
Heel distracted himself. Yeah.
It's a D. I'm really sorry. Sorry, Bray. Right, moving on. Titus and Hogan with Eric Bischoff and Bayley segment.
Should Bayley be bullying as Braun defeated bullying last night? Should she be calling people an idiot? Is that allowed anymore? I thought Bray defeated bullying forever.
So
yeah, skippable.
Natalya and Tamina, winners of last night's tag team Turmoil versus Shayna and Nia Jax in a women's tag team championship. Shayna wins with the Karabuka clutch. Thoughts and scores?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, this one. Like, we got a fucking lockup and some mat wrestling, which brought me joy. I was like, hooray, the wrestling lady's here. And at least 75% of the people in that match could do technical mat wrestling. Had a solid, fine pacing. We got some limb work. Didn't really get anything of anyone's
I'm sorry. I'm going to call you on that. No, 50%. 50% of that. Not 75, 50.
Right,
there was one on each team who could do it. The one who is the last of the Heart Dungeon trainees, and Shayna, the MMA fighter.
I'm guessing that's Natalya, who was dressed like Bret the Hitman Hart, but a woman.
But yeah, it is Bret's niece. It's Jim Neidhart's daughter.
Nice. Obviously, I had to guess through these, so it was solid enough. I can't say it was a main event match. I wouldn't have put this as a WrestleMania match. There weren't many cool things to pull out. Like, most of it was solid enough. There was a big wobbly dance for Nia Jax's crossbody. Tamina, who's a strongish lass, couldn't slam Jax. That was
Jimmy
fair.
Superfly Snooker's daughter, by the way.
Oh, nice. I quite like the double submission thing with the tag mistake and the fact that was actually intentional as opposed to a thing. I think this was a passable match that gets a C. I didn't hate watching it. I didn't particularly go, woo, watching it. I'd happily watch that in the middle of a weekly show, shall we say. It was all right.
So, having come into this blind, I saw heels versus heels, having watched last night. I think Tamina and Natalya were supposed to be the faces in the grand scheme of things. Shayna's a massive heel and is really good at it. Nia's a massive heel and is generally a heel because she actually keeps injuring people. Shayna kicking Natalya in the teeth. So Shayna actually kicked out one of Asuka's teeth. It looks like this is now her thing.
I saw the gif. Yeah, I saw the gif of that. Oof.
Yeah, so and it looks like she tried to do the same to Natalya. Obviously, it's an accident. Natalya and Shayna were really stiff with each other, but I think that's just because, as I say, Natalya is from the Heart Dungeon and Shayna's an ex-MMA fighter.
I love a bit of NJPW shoot style, don't worry, girls.
I think they were going to be a bit. Neither of them were going to care. But it was a low C from me. I just really was not interested.
Yeah,
the women's tag team is just. It's all right.
Yeah, exactly that.
It was a match. A match happened. Some wrestling happened.
They need some characters.
I wasn't.
You can have a match like this, providing you've got characters. You can have an okay, passable match if the people in the ring fucking make me care who they are, have big facial expressions, and that wasn't there.
I think any of the other teams that were in the Turmoil. I mean, this is obviously wanting to put Tamina against Nia. They've been tag team partners. They are family. They're related. And this was some kind of. There's this weird idea that Tamina or Nia, I think Tamina has, like them two in the ring against each other is an epic moment. But I'm sorry, Tamina, nobody really cares about you, and a lot of us really don't like Nia because we don't actually think she should be in our main event. There are girls in NXT who deserve her spot. She's just there because she's big. and Nyla
Are any
Rose.
of them related to The Rock?
No, yes.
Oh, okay, get that one.
Nyla is The Rock's cousin.
No, that's what I'm saying. Are any of these women you want to replace Nia with The Rock's cousin? Because
Unfortunately not. Yeah, but The Rock's in the bad books.
if you keep putting The Rock's cousins in matches, maybe he'll come home. Maybe finally The Rock will come home to WrestleMania.
I don't.
Please, Rock, you're bigger than us now.
No. So,
no.
Moving on. So let's get on to the next match. Sami Zayn with Logan Paul, some guy I have no idea who he is, versus Kevin Owens, or as I had to send this to Strange, El Generico versus Kevin Steen. Kevin Owens wins with the stunner. Thoughts and scores on this match?
Do you actually not know who Logan Paul is? Because I can tell you.
I really do not know who Logan Paul is. I had bits of it explained to me last night.
Do you remember a big controversy, like just before Rona, where some YouTube star ran around being offensive to Japanese people and then took then filmed himself next to a body in the suicide forest?
Yeah, I vaguely, but this might just be because Zach told me about it. Right. Zach. So last night and the night before, Zach joined, who is one of our occasional co-hosts on the show, joined us for the WrestleManias.
And he explained young people things to you.
Yes.
Okay, so from my perspective, arrogant piece of shit internet person Logan Paul, who is currently being accused of sexual assaults, we get a cool Kevin Sami catch-up video, and I like the confusion thing, but I obviously, once again, hate celebrities in wrestling, especially when they do nothing, and especially when I think they're an unnecessary human being. But let's do the match. Kevin Steen versus El Generico. Morg, why does WWE keep pushing all of these PWG stars? Can they not get any of them? Can they not grow any of their own?
These Ring of... to be fair, I think it's a bit difficult with these two because I think they've wrestled everywhere that isn't AEW or didn't exist before they were wrestling.
All I'm saying is they just needed to
fought each other in this.
Yeah, they did. They just needed to bring Chucky T and Omega out as the men of low moral fiber to bully him.
Oh, would have been the best. No, because bullying, but no more bullying anymore.
Big was defeated by Braun yesterday.
Yes.
Right, okay. I really sort of enjoyed this. I think I'm going to be more critical than you assume I am. We get a lot of great moments. It's a proper indie match. They've got great chemistry together. We get some fucking indie apron suplexes. We get some great bounce drops. I always pop for a Michinoku driver, and Sami's one was wicked.
I just want to very quickly call you mentioning that before you carry on. So Michael Cole called that the Blue Thunder Bomb. Michael Cole has for ages been miscalling everything the Michinoku driver, and that is the first time that he's had a Michinoku driver and he called it the wrong thing. Michael Cole
Jesus Christ
needs to stop being. He needs to be the color commentator. He's very good at the commentary, and I understand, but he's really shit at calling the spots. He is no Morello. He is no Lucha Underground having a
Matt Striker.
No Matt Striker, and he is certainly no Excalibur for being able to know the names for moves.
No, in everything.
He is like Vince. What a maneuver, which was what Vince used to say because he didn't know the name of any of the wrestling moves.
Yeah. Just go with it. If you don't know the name of the move, just go with that. Anyway, yeah, good, cool indie spot move match with a lot of hard-hitting moves done very smoothly by guys with very good chemistry in the ring. Didn't do a single lockup and a massive lack of chopper. Once again, I like these guys. I like the match. This isn't me putting the match down. I gave it a B. We had story. Looks like we got story going out. We got a lot of cool moves and chemistry. But I still want people to grab each other, throw each other out, and punch each other a bit so it feels like a match, and I feel that was lacking. Otherwise, a B, though. Very good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I believe I've got this down as match of the night for night 2. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn know each other so well. They are best friends, and I call it the Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair rule, which is actually unfair because it really should be that plenty of other wrestlers, including Kevin and Sami, the reason I call it that is because it was one of the first times I really appreciated the fact that when you put two friends together, they will have a great match because they trust each other so much, and it doesn't matter if you hit the other one a bit too hard, because you just go and have a drink and a laugh about it later and probably take the piss out of each other like mates do. And this felt like two mates. This was solid. I gave it a B also. It was a really good match. I really enjoyed this match. Moving on from that. Oh, go on.
Criticise grappling quite a lot. It's going to come up in a bunch of my stuff.
So after that, we had Riddle and Carly in a backstage segment with RVD coming out. I think the most important thing about this was putting RVD on the screen with Riddle, because Riddle is... So tonight, we have had Fiend being the new Undertaker, Kevin Owens stunnering the Celebrity at the end of the match after he shook his hand. The only thing he was missing was having a beer in his hand. And now we're having Matt Riddle, the Stoner, with RVD, the Stoner.
Stoner Man comes out and is buffed up by the Stoner Man next to Giant Indian Man. Big Stoner energy. Doesn't make me mad. The only thing which got me is when Riddle went Carly Charlie, and I was like, yo, Riddle, Charlie's not weed. I don't think we should really be pushing big Indian cocaine right now, should we? I hope the great Carly's Indian. I'm not so good at the varied
he is.
Eastern
He is Indian. He is massive in India, hugely over.
Oh, good. I don't feel like I was accidentally racist.
When he was a heel in India, his matches were called with him being the babyface against people like John Cena.
Oh, that's great. Good work. I like it. But yeah, it was fine. Look, here's your new RVD. There's your old RVD. Passable, basically.
So moving on from there, Sheamus versus Matt Riddle, US title match, and Sheamus wins. So far we've had one babyface victory.
I didn't know who the faces and heels were in this situation, but I was ready for Giant Albino versus Stoner Man. We get some strikes and some wrist work at the start. Hooray! I'm probably going to ask for your soundbite here.
It's all right.
Fine pacing, but they didn't have a lot of chemistry in that ring, did they? It was good. It was solid enough, but I wasn't engaged. I felt a bit bad when Sheamus slipped on his avalanche move from the ropes, but he landed on his feet and kept it safe. Good lad. And I think the finish with catching Riddle out of the moonsault with a knee was really badass. That belt's as ugly as Cody Rhodes' neck tattoo. I gave it a C. It was okay.
Yeah. Also, got to see. I think I expected this to be a little more sort of strong. You got two big. I mean, Riddle's ex-MMA, but MMA and wrestler.
I was waiting for a brawl that I've been criticising throughout this podcast.
And I think I've stolen this off somebody else in the chat last night. I think it was Tuther was saying this. Riddle was very much. This could have been the setup to Riddle stop being the happy-go-lucky Stoner. He was looking very annoyed with his bleeding mouth, and I don't think he'll care about the fact that he took a bad kick to the mouth. And I think that was him playing the character, and maybe we're going to see the badass MMA Riddle that's just going to kick fuck out of people, and that could be something to watch. We shall see where it goes. Following on from that, Big E versus Apollo Crews, Intercontinental Championship. I also gave Sheamus and Matt Riddle a C. Apollo wins by shenanigans after Dabba-Kato comes out, who was just another...
Is that his name?
Yeah, that was Dabba-Kato. He was on the Raw Underground, and when that was a thing. In a Nigerian drum match, in which at no point did they use a drum.
Hey, I love Big E. I don't even watch WWE, and I love Big E. He is a magical being versus Apollo Crews is apparently a Nigerian warlord now, from what I've established.
Yeah.
That Wally rapper guy with the intro for Big E was really cool. I like that. I was kind of hoping I watched a series, I can't remember what it was called a few years ago, where they sent a variety of buff dudes around the world to engage in traditional combat. And so I was kind of hoping there'd be a bunch of fucking drummers around the ring and dun, 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 to make it more badass. I mean, it's not like the match lasted any time. And we start the match with a traditional Nigerian kendo stick fight. Well-known part of Nigerian drum fights. We got a bunch of good step stuff. Big E's spear through the apron onto the floor got a massive oof from me. It was all right. And then Giant Man arrived. We got a sudden and lame finish. Didn't really feel like a hardcore match. There was no drumming or use of drums. I feel like I've been spoiled by good gimmick matches by being an indie shitter scumbag, but arguably I could say this was technically fine and got the story across, and I should give it a passable C, but I can't say I really rated this.
I gave it a low C/D. It was a low C, and it might even... We've been spoiled recently, and I try not to pull similarities to the show that we normally review when we do this. I try and keep it... I want to keep it clean, but after the arcade brawl, which was kind of lessening how to do a stupid gimmick hardcore match...
they didn't commit to their stupid gimmick.
Yeah.
Or traditional gimmick. Sorry, I don't mean to... Not stupid. You could make this a really cool thing by having some fucking drummers and actually building up the culture it comes from. Instead, they put some drums around a ring and people hit each other with kendo sticks.
And nobody got their head put through a drum.
Oh, exactly. I'm giving it a D. I'm changing my rank. Okay. Sorry, Biggie. You're wonderful. You deserve better matches. Apollo Crews, I don't actually know you. I assume you deserve better matches as well. Giant Man, they didn't even announce you. Sorry.
Yeah. So, moving on from there to the match I was looking forward to the most. This is also the match that I couldn't win and I couldn't lose. Probably my two favourite wrestlers currently, who are not... my two favourite WWE wrestlers at the moment. Rhea Ripley versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. Rhea wins with the Riptide. What do you think of the match? What score did you give it?
All right, from one of my favourite magical beings, Big E, to another one of my favourite magical beings, Asuka. God, she's great. I love Rhea. Sadly, Rhea has gone from a more punky Vegeta look when I saw her last year to a more metally look. So she's falling out of favour in my visuals for a wrestler, but she still looks fucking dimes. You know, that's no means a put down on her. It works. Badass. We get some strikes. We get a fast set of solid strikes and some punches and some ground hold and some actual holds. I don't think they had a lot of chemistry together, but there was some solid wrestling in this. I kind of hoped we'd get a build to a sort of more fighting spirit, Stardom style NJPW end, but didn't quite get there, but I'm not criticizing it. We got some cool apron spots. Rhea putting some fucking wicked stomps, making it feel like a fight. For all of my prior whining about lack of grappling and slowing of pace, I'd argue this one had a bit of a weird pace and could actually have done with a few more high spots and picking up a bit, if I'm honest. But we did get strikes. We did get grappling. We did get groundwork. It was all clean. I know their personalities, but I don't think they went above just a good match. It was good, but I don't know. Maybe I expected so much more from the two of them. So I gave it a C. It was good. I was entertained. Possibly a mid-C. It's like they went the other way on the things I'd been saying about the match. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I gave it a high C, but I do think it's probably a C, and it got a high C just because it happened to be the match I couldn't win or lose in.
Great characters in the ring as well.
It's like I say, it's two of my favourite wrestlers at the moment. I've loved Asuka since the day she turned up in NXT, because that's when I first got to know her. Rhea was brilliant as the heel previously, and her face, and I got to experience and enjoy her face turn, watch her topple Shayna Baszler in NXT, who was their unstoppable force. She got even more over with me last year after Charlotte cut her legs out from under her, because that really helped elevate everything. This was the big win that Rhea should have got. A lot of people were saying, Rhea needs to win this because, to wipe away the bad taste from last year. No, Rhea needed to beat Charlotte for this belt to wipe away the bad taste from last year. It's a C. I gave it a high C, probably because I'm slightly biased. But it is just a C. And unfortunately, this was the match I was probably looking forward to the most. It was the match I was invested in as soon as I heard who it was. And it may have suffered from that.
Disappointed by the ones we wanted to really like. That's a shame.
I think it may have suffered from that problem that we have talked about previously on the podcast when we're reviewing some AEW matches, when you get two people together and you go, this is going to be awesome, and they have a B match, but you were expecting an S.
An A. Yeah.
You think they're going to have an S, or they have a C and you were expecting an A, and probably more realistic. And we sit there going, well, we weren't that impressed because we expected this huge other thing.
I'm still happy they wrestled and stomped and punched, though. Thank you, you two. Thank you, blessed Stardom, Asuka.
After that, Hogan and Titus segment, Bayley interrupts them and then is interrupted by, and I'm going, it's got to be Becky Lynch returning. No, it's the Bellas. At least this crowd didn't. At least this crowd didn't chant one more match.
Oof. They came out and Bayley was bullying, and as bullying was defeated yesterday, the Bellas kind of stopped him. I suppose WWE regulars would like this moment. I don't know. It's skippable for me.
Yeah, no.
The characters meant nothing. I know Bayley's a really good wrestler. Hulk Hogan shouldn't be on TV. Passable, good, whatever.
Yeah, moving on. So then we got to the main event of night 2. Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns versus the returning Edge. Edge wrestling on the exact 10-year anniversary to the day that he had to relinquish the belt, the WWE Championship, I think it was. He had to relinquish the belt. This was for the Universal Championship. And Reigns wins. What did you think of the match? What score did you give it?
You see, I'm not hung up on Reigns winning because the video package at the beginning made me think all three of them going into this match were heels. Edge read very heely, and he wants his heely final big match against Roman Reigns, who is a heel. And then Daniel Bryan's like, long, no, you have to fight me, which is heely, as opposed to letting Neckbreak Man have his anniversary match, So to me, and obviously I thought Edge is going to win. It's the fucking anniversary of his stuff, and he's having his big comeback. So arguably, the paradigm was broken, and there's points to that. 3 guys in a ring is always a bit of a clusterfuck, and we do get a few moments where, Daniel Bryan has disappeared for a few minutes. But we get strikes, and then Uso comes in to be a 4th man to buy some of the side time. Having stopped watching in the sort of era where Roman Reigns was getting his push, heel Reigns is better than face Reigns to me. He can eat up those boos. He does read as a beast. Get a bunch of kind of good spots. Edge's slams on Reigns from apron to barricade and back and back and back. I really liked. Once again, feels like a brawl. And as the match gets about halfway after Bryan being dead for a long time, we get a lot of a better rotation on who's in, who's acting, who's moving. And the pacing is pretty good too. Blessed Daniel Bryan comes in and gives himself a bunch of kicks out there. Thank you. Good kicky. Once again, feels a fight. I'm not sure Edge should have done that double spear thing with Roman Reigns. I think if I'd ever broken my neck, that would be quite low on my list of things to do. At the chair spot, I did laugh when the leg came off the chair. I don't know if it was intentional but when he used it in the submission spot, I actually liked that. And I liked the double submission spot, and I liked them fucking smacking each other during it. Once again, something I've not seen before. And I quite like how Daniel Bryan just fucking leathered him into it afterwards, proper punching on him. And honestly, Bryan reads as a heel throughout this match. He does a ref pull afterwards, which I liked. I'm glad Edge has still got his crazy madman ring persona. That keeps through. And then we get a bunch of fucking chair work. I'm not sure Uso Man had to come back again. But the massive concertos on.
I think that was the other Uso, because they are twins.
Oh.
You're allowed,
God,
and they are
Jesus.
they are pretty much identical. You are allowed to muddle them two up. It is
Thank
not.
God.
Yeah, it is not racially insensitive to muddle them two up because they are actual twins, and I believe they are pretty much identical. I when I watched, I had trouble telling which is which of them two, and
Almost gave me a heart attack, man.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, am I racist now?
No, they are twins, very specifically.
But yeah, I enjoyed the massive chair blows and the concertos for the win. Arguably, there could have been a bit more heely, tabley, no DQE stuff. I quite like the double pin for the win. The heel win felt dirty to me. Technically a good match, and it feels like a fight. I don't know the plot, so I didn't really care. And Roman Reigns is continuing with this thing. I'm not sure where Edge and D-Bry go now. But I enjoyed it. Once again, I'd give it a B. Story seemed to be there. Wrestling was good. It actually felt like they were hurting each other, which was nice. Yeah, good. Enjoyable.
Interesting. So this is the
do
first
you not
one.
Like it?
This is no. It got a high C from me, so I'm willing to push it up. I think I was just a bit tired, and I think I was a bit disappointed that we had another heel victory. So
we're only heels.
I think that they've been listening to our podcast and just going,
who
"Look,
was going to win?
Heels have got to win." Us complaining about this.
Heels. Put in 100 of them.
Yeah, Strange is watching this. We better put heels winning. Couple of problems with this match. So firstly, the match was really good and I enjoyed it. It was a good triple threat. It was the usual clusterfuck that a triple threat is. My problem with this is about the story. Reigns had to be toppled because he's had the big heel run. And he's been the head of the table and he's been dominating and he's been the big heel. And you're still getting the problem.
Head of the table and not tribal chief anymore.
Yeah, and you're still getting this problem of WWE are determined to have Reigns, and you're getting to that point where we've accepted him as a heel. We're really pleased. We like this. This is good. He's doing some really good heel work. But you're getting to that danger zone now where he's going to start feeling like you're pushing him down our throat again. He shouldn't have won this. He could win the championship back. I would have done this. The problem is, so either Reigns had... So Bryan just shouldn't have been in this at all. Bryan 100%. Should have run the Royal Rumble and been Bryan versus Reigns and Edge doing something else. Or, and this is the one that would have been more difficult, but actually I think would have been the better idea. When Bryan and Reigns faced each other, Bryan should have beaten Reigns, not had the interrupt from Edge with the world's weirdest idea where Edge was determined that Bryan was trying to steal his WrestleMania spot, which he couldn't because Edge had won the Rumble and has won the Rumble
Crips
before.
Have this plot with Bryan like a decade ago.
No, that was a different plot line. But you could have had, as the main event of your first WrestleMania with fans back in, the two guys we never thought would wrestle again, wrestling for your big title in the main event of WrestleMania. And if you think that, but we needed Roman in there to make for the draw. No, you really didn't. You just needed to tell that story of the two guys we never thought would wrestle again. This is it. Bryan could have had one last title run, which would have lasted 3 weeks because it would have been from Fastlane. He'd have had the surprise win over Reigns. Oh my God. I can't believe that. Then Reigns could have come back and destroyed Edge in 2 weeks and been an even bigger heel, so it wouldn't have mattered. But you could have had that story of the Yes Movement versus the Rated R. You could have had face versus face. That crowd would have been fucking red hot. I watched both these guys have to retire, and I got to watch both these guys return. And I was gutted watching them retire, and I popped like fuck when they returned.
Yeah, 100%.
You really did not need Reigns in this match. As great as he is, as good as he is.
Vince needs Reigns. Vince needs Reigns.
This is the problem.
It's related to The Rock.
Or you needed to make it a 2-way match. This shouldn't have been a triple threat. Bryan shouldn't have been in there. Bryan should have been facing Edge afterwards. Or whichever variation. Edge could have cut Bryan off from his chance to get into it.
One match the night before and one match on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, you could even have done that because he wouldn't have been pulling double duty in the same day. Anything. You could have done absolutely anything in this.
Wrestle Kingdom
Except...
have the preliminary first.
Yeah, except what you did. This shouldn't have been a triple threat.
See, I don't have any of that hatred for it. Conveniently. What? Stress, not hatred. You don't hate it.
No, I enjoyed
Disappointed,
it.
not angry.
I like Reigns. I love Edge. I love Reigns. I've always liked Reigns. I've always thought he got very badly treated. And it was very obvious that the fans never hated Reigns in the way they hated Cena. They hated the fact that Reigns was being pushed down our throat. And I know a while ago we had a bit of an argument about this on the podcast, and I talked about belts. And I remember Muir at the time saying, "Oh, what, Reigns the guy who always got booed?" Yes, Reigns got booed because people didn't like him being pushed down their throat as he has got to be the face of the company. Then they've turned him heel, and everyone's gone, "Yeah, he's fucking brilliant." And you knew it was true that they didn't hate Reigns when he came out with the leukemia. The outpouring from fans going, "Well, we've always hated what Vince did with you. We've never hated you. We know you're a great wrestler. Yeah, we know you're a great wrestler. It's not your fault. Our booing is displeasure at the company. It's not actually displeasure at you." Cena used to eat it up. Cena made it a thing, and it was great. I mean, the Cena Sucks T-shirts that were part of John Cena's merchandise. So when you bought a Cena Sucks T-shirt, do you know who got the merchandise? Do you know who got the merchandise money for that T-shirt?
Is it Lance Catamaran?
It certainly is. So yeah, disappointed. Could have been better. I think this could have been an A if it had just been a one-on-one with those any of those three storylines. So there we go. Power of letter maths for day 2.
It's a solid mid-C. We have had an overall good time. It was an enjoyable watch. A couple of highlights, a bunch of that could have been better, and a couple of lowlights. It was. That's a good score for a weekly show or a small pay-per-view. Not necessarily a good score for your WrestleMania. And if I combine it with the previous night's score, which was a high C/low B, it looks like we've got a high C for the overall ratings of WrestleMania this year, which once again means it was an entertaining show, which had some good, crisp wrestling, some good story in there, some nice paradigm-breaking moments, some inventive use of props and setting and story. But we also had some matches that were brightly coloured clusterfucks, too short, ruined stories, or overly relied on celebrities. So, yeah, good show. Not what I was kind of hoping. I think I was more excited last year. I think last year I came back and went, wow, I enjoyed that WrestleMania. And some of it's kooky and shit, and some of it's powered by Vince, because Vince's entire sense of humor comes from Tom Green movies. I assume that's where Tom Green is now. You know, but you can take that campness and that bullshit. It's fucking WWE. You enjoy it a bit. But I don't know, we just felt very non-committal in a lot of ways. It didn't commit to any of the stupidity. It didn't commit to any of the brutality. All the hardcore stuff felt a bit soft. The Nigerian drum match didn't feel like a Nigerian drum match. The big main event was probably a bit overbooked. Probably the best match for a combination of skill, story, and getting people over was Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, which I really liked. Yeah, I think that is the one that most succeeded in what a wrestling match should do. But yeah, I see. Good.
Yeah, I do wonder whether that should have been the main event. Well, there you go. So that's our thoughts on WrestleMania 37, nights 1 and 2. If you'd like to send us your thoughts on that, we will address them in our normal show. If you're just listening to this for the purposes of finding out what we thought of WrestleMania and you don't know, you've just found it because of it's a WrestleMania review and you're looking for people's opinions, we do a weekly podcast. We mainly focus on the shows of AEW. Our weekly podcast is mainly just an AEW fan podcast because there is a lot of wrestling in the world.
We're not complete marks. We shit talk AEW.
Oh yes, yeah. This is we review AEW weekly. if you want to get in touch with us, we are wrestleopinionated@gmail.com. You can find WrestleOP on Facebook and WrestleOP1 on Twitter. If you want to find our show, it's WrestleOpinionated again on YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor.fm. I want to thank Anchor.fm for hosting the podcast. Over to you, Mr. Strange.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard and want to hear some shit talking with additional friends, as I said, weekly show, you can find it all the previous places. We'd love to have you listen to us some more. If you have enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, send an email, tattoo it on your face, tell your friends. All those things. I don't know what the ranking system is on Anchor and Spotify because I am terrible at this. If you want to chat on Twitter or call me out, feel free to. I'm always available. But once again, thank you for listening. We do appreciate your time. Back to you, Morg.
So all that's left to be said is goodbye and good night.